we're going to get started here. If anybody have any questions during the session, please feel free to post your questions to the Q&A section of our webinar today, and we'll share the questions with Blue Sage. And if we're not able to answer all the questions for some reason, Blue Sage will be providing an FAQ afterwards so that we can make sure we address any questions that you guys have. With that said, thank you for joining us today from originations to servicing and transforming borrowers' experience with streamlined digital technology. Seamless. So with that said, I'm going to turn this over to Dee Kohler.
Hi, I'm going to do the magic. Hope the screen shares okay. Does that look okay for you?
Yes.
Well, good morning and good afternoon. Welcome to our Blue Sage webinar featuring our latest digital servicing platform for interim servicing. We're glad you took time out on your busy day today to spend some time with us. In this webinar, we're going to run through some pain points that we've seen from lenders in terms of around the interim servicing workflow, and kind of what we found from lenders, followed up by how we at Blue Sage address those pain points in leveraging the most modern API-based technology and solutions. And we'll conclude with some key takeaways that you can take back to your organization to get started to improve this area of your workflow. And then, of course, throughout, please feel free, as Mimi mentioned, to enter your questions in the Q&A pod, or we will go ahead and answer your questions towards the end. I'm very excited, you guys. These speakers are amazing, amazing people, not just because they're my colleagues and peers, but they really are experienced in their fields. They take a very consultative approach with their clients, and I honestly could pick their brains all day long. So feel free to shoot any questions that you want to ask. Make them hard. Don't give us easy ones. I'm sure they can answer. They've probably seen something before or connected with lenders of similar issues and challenges. Before we jump deeper into things on the interim servicing side, for those of you that may not know us, we are Blue Sage Solutions, and we've been around since about 2011. We're solely focused on the mortgage technology space, and we've been serving banks, credit unions, and IMBs of all shapes and sizes. But what we're really about is helping lenders reduce costs, increasing efficiencies, and of course, keeping them compliant. A few things that kind of do make us unique. I know there are many players in the market, but we are fully API based and in the cloud. Our products are built from scratch. We don't buy and bolt on things. We actually have built our products from scratch by very, very highly experienced mortgage professionals. On average, our team has about 20 years experience in the space. So yes, we all started when we were babies. Our systems are both modern and scalable. But before we go ahead and look into the interim servicing side, I want to give you sort of a look at our LOS diagnostic digital servicing platform. I want to quickly mention a couple of the other products that we have that you may not know about or probably have heard about. We have a consumer direct portal called Lion POS. We have a loan officer portal that is really a mobile solution that's been built specifically with the loan officers in the field in mind. We also, of course, have a complete LOS platform, and that does support all channels. So consumer direct, retail, wholesale, correspondent, home equity. But what we're all here to see today is really our digital servicing platform for interim servicing. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Joey, who's going to go ahead and take us further along our journey.
Awesome. Thanks, Dee. So when we talk to lenders of all shapes and sizes, can everybody see my screen?
Not yet. Yeah, coming.
There it is. Okay.
Working.
So when we talk to lenders of all shapes and sizes in the industry, one of their biggest challenges that they bring up is automating the interim servicing process. Lenders struggle using a combination of their LOS, accounting systems, spreadsheets, plugins, Word documents, and costly bots and bolt-ons that Dee mentioned to try and make this process more efficient, right? Some LOSs, as many of you know, have only one screen to try and assist with this process. Others can only accommodate a single payment. And as we've learned, many lenders suffer when screens change or new releases are rolled out, as these bots, which I call digital duct tape, fail, creating more havoc and even more costly manual processes. This all leads to cost overruns, which could be and should be allocated to more strategic efforts. What this leads to is sometimes you might feel like a lane here and want to pull your hair out with all of these headaches and wasted time, energy, and money. In many cases, many standard functions that should be easily accommodated aren't. Here are a few key features of a modern servicing platform. Starting with, number one, seamless onboarding of loans from any LOS. So there's no rekey of data and no loss between the systems. The platform should also ensure compliant calcs, compliant docs, and compliant letters and reports, no matter what loan type or how many payments that are being processed. The system should also support product features and specialty products like buy downs, seconds, home equities to ensure all payments are correct and compliant. Additionally, the platform should provide an integrated borrower experience via digital portal to easily make payments and allocate additional funds towards escrows and balances, and also easily allow the borrower to download payment, tax, and escrow statements. It should also allocate your payments in an automated fashion across P&I, taxes, insurance, escrows, and late fees so that your UPB calculations are correct, provide short year tax escrow analysis if applicable, and ensure that the actual transfer amount is correct. Finally, the system should also integrate with a number of third-party services such as credit companies, MI companies, FHA, and the agencies to offer a seamless exchange of data. The system should also support single file or batch processing to natively accommodate 1, 10, or 100 loans for payoffs, payment processing, mortgage statement generation, and servicing transfer. And finally, once you're done with your loan, the system should also allow you to offboard the loan seamlessly, including data and documents, so that there's no data missing, there's no rekey of data, there's no manual upload of documents, and the payment and balance are correct. So these are just a few features that we've seen in modern servicing platforms. Today, in most cases, we've seen that some of these functions are done in the LOS sometimes. Some are done by post-closers with spreadsheets sometimes. And some are done in the accounting department with both spreadsheets and your accounting system of choice in order to track payments and generate the appropriate balances before selling or moving to a servicer or subservicer. However, what if all of these and more could be centralized and automated in one platform to reduce inconsistencies, ensure compliance, and eliminate the chance of penalties, fees, indemnification, legal costs, late charges, and unhappy customers? Over 3 years in design and development, our digital servicing platform, or what we call DSP, is the most state-of-the-art and intuitive interim servicing platform on the market. LOS agnostic, it can integrate with any LOS using standard MISMO formats and using the latest and greatest technologies. And it's a full suite of everything needed for interim servicing. It can reduce or eliminate all of the costly manual processes which accompany your current way of handling payments. So let's start taking a look at the platform. I'll hand it over to Linda to highlight some of the features available in the platform to address many of the issues lenders are facing today, starting with the onboarding process. Linda?
Thank you, Joey. So as Joey mentioned, integration is the key to automation and success. This diagram demonstrates the integration between the LOS and the digital servicing platform, also known as DSP. The first point at the top is boarding. To board loans into DSP, as Joey mentioned, we can integrate with any LOS using the MISMO 2.6 closing file. Then loans can be boarded into DSP using a send loan button in the LOS or through automation based on the loan status. Points 2 and 3 in the diagram represent our bidirectional integration, which is really, we think, unique. First, we will update the LOS when the payment is made in DSP, and in turn, DSP is updated with the purchase advice data from the LOS so that we can get that data into the DSP automatically. We're going to review this detail a little bit more in the next segment. But in the first segment, we're going to review, and Joey, if you'll go to the next highlight, and then I'll share. So in the first segment, we're going to review the DSP loan boarding process, our consumer portal, and our seamless online payment process. So I'm going to share, bear with me for just a moment. So you should see my login screen that has a Blue Sage logo on it. And bear with me for just a moment. Okay, so I'm going to then start out by logging in to DSP. And this login screen, of course, does have the Blue Sage logo. This could have your logo and colorings, of course. I'm going to go ahead and log in. And I'm going to go to the loan boarding tab so we can talk a little bit about that loan boarding process. Loans are going to come into this boarding queue where the associate can view and correct exceptions and activate loans. Loans can be automatically activated if they meet a client-defined set of rules as being acceptable to activate. I'm going to go down to loan ending in 19000. And as I select it, you see these buttons become available. And I'm going to go ahead and activate this loan now. And while that's activating, then we'll go to search and open up the loan. So search is used throughout the system, and it is our method to locate loans and easily navigate from one loan to another. It looks across several tables for matches as I enter search criteria. So for example, as I just enter 1, 2, 3, 4, you see the results are adjusting. It found matches for 1, 2, 3, 4 with the loan number, with the policy number, with the borrower tax ID, with the MI certificate number. So you can see with that example how it's just looking across the database for matches. You don't have to enter the data that you're using for criteria into a specific field to find the loan. You just start typing what you're looking for. And so I know that I want to open that loan that we just activated. So it ends in 19000. So that's all I have to enter to open that loan. So the loan is opened up in our current account status screen. This is the primary screen used to find important loan information and dates, as well as balances and amounts due. One of our unique features is the headers across the top. These are available when viewing any loan level screen. All of our loan level screens are represented in this spine on the left. Our system level screens are across the top, and you're going to see examples in both areas. But this header in the loan level screen provides easy access to information without requiring that the user exit the screen that they're currently viewing. What's even more great about this feature is that the users are also, the headers are also user role based, meaning that we can display specific headers that will be useful to a particular user. So now that this loan is active, and we can see that in a couple of places, we can see the status here, and we can see the status here in the current account status screen. We would start generating documents automatically using our daily scheduler. So letters such as the first payment and welcome letter and the monthly mortgage statement as an example. I'm going to use our on-demand document request function to go ahead and generate those letters now so that we can see them when we go into the portal here in just a moment. So we'll start with the first payment and welcome letter, and I'll go ahead and submit that. It'll take just a moment for that to generate. And again, these would be generated automatically with our daily scheduler, but the user can also use this on-demand document request screen to request documents on the fly. And then the monthly mortgage statement, I'll generate that one also so we can take a look at that. So all documents that are generated will automatically go to the portal, regardless of the borrower's chosen delivery method. If the borrower consents, like we see here, to receive mobile text messages and paperless delivery, then they're going to receive both an email and a text message notifying them when documents are available on the portal. If the borrower doesn't consent to electronic delivery, we're still going to place the documents on the portal, but we'll also deliver document packages to your print or mail vendor of your choice, and documents can also be printed in-house. So we're going to go ahead and go into the portal, but first I want to talk about one of the features that we use to provide the borrower access to the portal. So we have this invite to portal feature directly on the borrower summary screen. It's likely that the invitation to the borrower to register on the portal may have already been generated, but in the event that they contact customer service for assistance, this feature provides an easy way for the associate to send the borrower the link and the temporary credentials to access the portal. If I select send, an email will go to the borrower. I've already registered this loan on the portal, so I'm going to go ahead and hit cancel. So now I'll go ahead and open the portal. So I'm just going to move over to this tab. This is the borrower facing portal. Again, you see the Blue Sage logo, but this of course will be replaced with your logo and your coloring. I'm going to log into the servicing portal as if I am the borrower. And I'm going to demonstrate how to make a payment on the portal, but first let's take a look at those documents that I just generated. So we'll go to the Statements tab, and this is the monthly statements area. So all of the statements would be here. I've only generated one on this loan so far. And the monthly mortgage statement, this is the example of it, and of course is written in compliance with CFPB. And it, of course, can also have your logo on it instead of ours. And then additionally, we had created the first payment and welcome letter, and this is an example of that. You may choose to not generate the first payment and welcome letter from DSP if you're generating that from your LOS, and that's fine. We have a client setting that can control whether this comes out of DSP or not. So that's an example of a couple of the documents that the user, or the borrower, I'm sorry, can view while they're on the portal. To make a payment, the borrower simply clicks on the payments button. They're going to select the amount they want to pay, select the date that they want to pay, and I'm going to pick today as a same-day payment, and then they'll enter their bank account information. When new bank accounts are set up, we perform a real-time account validation. The account has to be successfully validated before the payment can be submitted. This completely eliminates the time-consuming process of reversing online payments due to invalid bank account information. So this bank account is going to be validated before the borrower can proceed with submitting the payment. So I'm going to go ahead and schedule this payment for today, and that will submit this payment to DSP. So I'm going to go back to DSP for now, and we're going to go to the ACH screen where this data is stored. So this screen interfaces with the portal. Each time the borrower makes a payment on the portal, it will be represented in this list. This is the payment that we just made. We use this same screen to manage recurring ACH, as well as payments made by phone. If you accept those, you can take a telephone payment directly from DSP. I'm just going to add another payment to this loan and save that. So now we've got the payment that came in from the web, and we've got a payment made by phone. So to post ACH payments, we use a fully automated process that will be executed before the end of the processing day so that same-day payments can be posted. And to do this, I'm going to open the on-demand job request. On-demand job request provides the associate with a method to run jobs that will automate processes. Most of the jobs will be run in the daily scheduler, but others may be run independently like this one. So this job, the batch notch file processing job, is going to identify loans with scheduled ACH payments for today or tomorrow, capture the data needed to create the notch file, and the payment posting batches. So all with a single click, finds the eligible transactions, creates and sends the notch file to the designated endpoint, and posts the payments to the loans. And as you can see, I just ran this job. Now it indicates at the top, I've got a couple of errors. These are not really errors. It just means that I didn't have any eligible ACH transactions with ACH control type, internal or external. But I did have a notch file generated and payments posted successfully for ACH control type web. It is important to point out that optionally, if you prefer a more interactive experience than this single click, you can walk through the steps individually, creating the file, sending the file, creating the batch, and posting the batch, if you prefer to do that individually so that you can review the results throughout the process. So as I mentioned, that job that we just ran posted the ACH payments. And that transaction is recorded here in mortgage history. And this was the February payment that was just made on this loan. Our mortgage history is very comprehensive and it has a lot of features that I don't have time to show today. But you can see that it's broken down into the transaction summary and balances. So I move over to the right and get access to my balances. So I can use the scroll bar to see them, or I can just use the checkbox. All incoming and outgoing transactions are recorded in mortgage history. And at the end of the processing day, we'll create transaction files to import into your general ledger system. And we can also create transaction files to move cash from your payment clearing account to your corporate account. So this concludes the first segment of just walking through and boarding a loan and demonstrating the portal and how payments are made on the portal and how that interacts with DSP. So now let me pause for just a moment. I'm going to open up the slide for segment 2. Okay, I'm not figuring out how to unpause. Can you guys see my screen? Okay, I saw it. Never mind. So you guys can see the screen now?
Yep.
So in segment 2, we're going to demonstrate just one example of how we address compliance challenges by reviewing our automated loan transfer process from purchase advice all the way to completion. And we're also going to take a quick look at the tools that we provide to collect payments owed and to pay MI or MIP premiums. So let me get over to a section here, and here we go. I brought the screen back up, and I'm in the batch processing area. So the example that we're going to use, like I mentioned, was purchase advices, how to manage a purchase advice and a transfer. And for loan purchases, the first challenge is just getting the purchase advice data into DSP. We provide 2 automated methods. The first is the bidirectional integration that I discussed earlier with the diagram. The DSP can receive purchase advice data directly from the LOS in real time. Our other option is that we can import purchase advice files. I'm going to show you the import. This is a file for today's purchases that I've already imported, and this is the data that was contained in that file. And I want to point out too that I made the transfer date today. In case you're wondering, you see purchase date is 2/19 and transfer date is 2/19. That's not typical. I use transfer date of 2/19 just so I can complete the entire process during the demonstration. But as we know, generally that transfer date is going to be at least 15 days in the future. So all of this data has automatically been updated into our purchase advice and servicing transfer screens. I can use this hyperlink, which is really a very cool feature for navigation, and it's going to open up the purchase advice screen. And this is the data for that loan that came in from the file. I can go back using the back button to go back to the batch to select a different loan if I need to. So very nice navigation features. So this information shows us who purchased the loan, what the due date is that they purchased, the principal and the escrow, and that the escrows were netted from the proceeds. This information, of course, would also be updated with that integration from the LOS that we're speaking of. So when the purchase advice is pushed into DSP, it will be updated into this screen. Additionally, several fields in the servicing transfer screen are automatically updated. The servicing transfer screen documents the transfer and provides a detailed reconciliation comparing the loan data, which is this column, to the purchase advice information. Notice also on this loan, there was a difference in the escrow, $45, and we'll see how that's managed in just a moment. The loan had $45 more in escrow than they included on the purchase advice. Also, I want to point out that the purchaser bought the loan with first payment due to them being April, but the loan is due for March. So we're going to review some methods in just a moment to help collect that payment. But first, to talk about finalizing this transfer, that can be done either automatically on the transfer date, or you can use a batch process to automatically finalize the transfer of the loans. With both methods, you can establish rules that will identify any exceptions that you think require further review. So I'm going to go back to batch processing, and I'm going to show you that batch method of reconciliation. And I'm going to select the purchases for today for Servicer 1. These are the same 4 loans that were in the file that I imported. So this batch process provides the ability to review the reconciliation and transfer all loans with the same transfer date at one time. And we have the ability to ignore loans if we don't want to process them. I'm going to go ahead and select Reconcile Loans, and this is going to reconcile and finalize the transfer for this batch. It should just take just a second for this to run. And as soon as that's finished, then we'll go into mortgage history and see what transactions have automatically been applied. I'm going to use this loan 9001. One thing that you might notice is that when we first imported the file, the servicing status of those loans was transfer in process. Now that I've reconciled and finalized the transfer, the status is transfer reconciled. The last step in the process is transfer completed, when everything's been done and you've received any final payments that are due to you. I want to go to mortgage history and show you these transactions that were automatically created by that reconciliation. The TRF1 transaction applies the principal from the purchase advice. TRF2 generates a disbursement to the new servicer for any amounts that need to be sent to them, and this is the $45 difference on the escrow balance. And TRF3 applies the netted escrow amount. I'm going to go over to balances, and you'll see that there's a small principal balance and an escrow advance. These represent the March payment that's still owed to us. We'll see those same balances in, I'm sorry, I need to go to current account status. We'll see those same balances here in current account status. So let me switch to a different loan so I can show you an example of some of the tools that we provide to help you collect that payment. This loan is in the same state. It's due for January with these small balances, and it owes me a payment. I have a message code over here, payment due on sold loan. So we generate letters, obviously, to help collect those payments. So on this loan, I'm going into document tracking, and you can see, of course, we're sending the monthly mortgage statement for that one payment. We also have payment owed after transfer letters. We have an initial notice, a second notice, and a final notice. We'll pop into that final notice and just take a quick look at that. This one says, we've sent you 2 prior letters in which we reminded you that you owe us this payment. So the verbiage in this letter gets a little more stern than letters 1 and 2. Another tool that we have is our non-payment contact screen and our call log. So the non-payment contact screen allows me to store the efforts of my last contact, as well as keep an ongoing record of any attempts to contact the borrower. This section shows any other non-payment related activities, such as the letters that have been generated. So in this call log, we recorded that the borrower promised to pay by 2/21, and we're going to follow up on 2/19. So let's go ahead and follow up. We'll open up another call log and start a new one as I'm trying to reach this borrower. Let's set this as an outbound call for non-payment. I'm going to try to reach the primary borrower. Notice that all other entities associated with the loan are also available here. So this could be in the to, or it could be in the from if you're receiving a call. These two drop downs would switch positions. So this call log can be used for all different types of recording phone calls, not just non-payment contact. In this case, we're going to just say that I was unable to contact the borrower, and I'll go ahead and save this draft. But before I do that, I just want to show you that if I'm talking with this borrower and they start asking me questions about the transfer or anything else, I can move to different screens while I have that call log open. I can easily minimize that call log if I need to see a little more information on the screen. I can bring it back up. Once I'm done with it, I can save it, and it'll be saved to the call log. And this is another place where we display the call log. So those are some of the tools that we have available to help you collect payments that are owed to you on transferred loans. Another item I want to cover really briefly is that if you have to collect a payment, then it's likely that you may need to pay an MI or an MIP premium. There's a couple of different ways that you could do that. You can do it by setting individual MIP premium records as ready to pay, or you can do it in batch. This is an interactive batch process that allows you to import your billing file from FHA and reconcile it. This same design is used for MI payments as well. So in this reconciliation, the left section is the data from DSP. This is the information in our escrow record in the system. The section in the middle is the information from the imported billing file. And the section on the right is where the associate will reconcile the items, determining if an item should be paid or ignored. Once all the items are reconciled, set ready to pay is enabled. And when this is selected, the disbursements will process automatically and the loans will be updated. So I'm going to close out by going back to finish up our servicing transfer process. We're going to go back to the on-demand job request and demonstrate a job that does all of the work for us. This is the, hold on, the servicing transfer, delivery, and notifications job. This job is going to run daily in our scheduler, and it will automatically identify eligible loans and generate your goodbye letters, the notifications to the escrow entity. I'm going to go ahead and submit it now. It will generate the notifications to the escrow entities. It will generate the short year escrow analysis required by RESPA. And it's capable of packaging the document files and generating the data files. Once it does all that, it's going to automatically update the loan to indicate the items have been completed. And it's going to update the loan servicing status to transfer completed once that final payment owed has been received, that message. So we should be able to go back then to document tracking and see the documents that were generated for loan 9001. There is also a system level document tracking. So far, we've just been looking at the loan level document tracking. And these are those notifications. The goodbye letter, notification to the tax authority, and the notification to the insurance authority. Again, if the borrower had consented to electronic delivery, these would already show as delivered. Right now, they show as pending delivery. If you're going to print them in-house, or they're going to go to a print mail vendor, they'll show pending delivery. Once they're delivered, we'll change that status to delivered. And that just updated those three statuses. The escrow analysis is just now still working. It takes a minute to create that final escrow analysis, so that's taking just a second. In addition to these documents that we've generated automatically, we also generate activities on the loan. These activities are a key mechanism that we use to automatically generate tasks, alerts, conditions, checklists, and notifications. So we have well over 50 different activities that are logged here when different things happen on the loan, and they can spawn all of that workflow automatically. The last thing that we'll look at is we're going to go back into the servicing transfer screen and see if any of the notification dates have been updated, and they have. These were blank before, but I have after I ran the job and those notifications were delivered, then it automatically updates these dates that we sent the goodbye letter to the borrower, and we sent the notifications to the tax authority, and we've delivered the loan. So that concludes this segment. Thank you very much for your time as I worked through both of those. And I'm going to go ahead then and we can either answer questions or I can turn it over to Joey now.
We do have a couple of
Awesome.
questions. Could I
Go ahead, Jeannie.
I
Yeah,
share
go
those
ahead.
questions? Okay, great.
Sure.
So one of the questions is, can you describe the individual steps to post the ACH payment if you don't want to use it with, if you don't want to do it with one click?
Yes. Because many clients, like I said, you prefer to kind of watch that process through. So if you didn't want to go to the on-demand job feature where we went earlier to run it with one click, you'd go to the batch processing area and choose batch notcha file processing and initiate that process yourself. These are some batches that have previously been generated. And from here, you would start by creating the batch. And then you would open the batch, and you notice these already have different statuses that these have already been completed. But once the batches are created, you could have as many as 3, one that's for web payments, one that's for external, and one that's for internal. You would open that batch and you'd simply click this button to send the file. In this case, it tells me the file has already been sent because I initiated this already. But this would send the file to your designated endpoint, the notcha file. So if you send that directly to your bank or whomever to begin processing that and get it to the Fed, that's where we would send it. Once the file is generated, we can create the payment batch. And that payment batch will go into batch processing right here. And it will be in this location. And do I have, yes, I have some ACH files here. And if you didn't want to post the batch automatically, then you could come in, review the batch and process it from here. So it's really just, I think I added it up one time. It's like 8 clicks. It's not a lot to get through each one of those and review the entire process. If you want to look at it one loan, or one step at a time.
Okay. And we also have another question. What happens if you accept a payment that goes to the new servicer?
That's a good one. I can find an example. Hold on just a second. Let me find an example. This loan's been reconciled. Balances are 0. When this loan was transferred, the borrower had already made the April payment. The first payment to the new servicer was April, but the borrower got excited, got a new loan. I'm going to get ahead on my payments. We went ahead and made that April payment to us. So we see that here. Both the March and the April payments have been made. And then we had to process the transfer, selling the loan due for April. So the first thing that we did when we processed the transfer, automatically, we reversed that April payment that doesn't belong to us. And we put it into the suspense balance. So we reversed the April payment. Then we remove the principal balance. Then we pull that payment from suspense to send it to the servicer. And then, of course, we have our netted escrow transaction. And when I go over to balances, all my balances are 0. So that's really a nice feature. You don't have to reverse payments that you've posted that don't belong to you. We also have a feature that I really can't demonstrate today, but as you're posting payments, if you're posting check payments, we can alert you that you're posting a payment that doesn't belong to you, and we can automatically put it into a payment transfer batch where you can generate a manifest to send to the servicer along with the checks that belong to them.
That's convenient. Thank you.
Any other questions, Mimi?
Nope, not at this time.
Awesome. Well, that was fantastic, Linda. So what we've shown today is it's very easy to get loans boarded and activated, review the current status, the details of loan easily, generate the applicable compliant documents and letters, and let the platform do all the heavy lifting, including all the calculations. and make it extremely easy to engage and communicate with the borrowers and keep them engaged throughout the entire process, whether on an individual loan or batch. Finally, what Linda kind of demonstrated was once the process is complete, we can generate and leverage the purchase device information to transfer and offboard loans easily. I hope we've shown you a number of items that could help you in your business, make you much more efficient, and ultimately reduce cost. And what we've shown today is just the tip of the iceberg. What we'd like to leave you today with are just a couple key takeaways from the session. First of all, we think that you, based on today's session, you can go in and audit your own internal processes. Do you really know how much effort and what your costs are for each part of the process? You need to review the process from start to finish, include all your departments, post-closing, accounting, servicing if you have one, to find out what the actual costs are. Second thing is, how does your system really handle this, or not handle, in most cases, the entire process? What we find, like we mentioned early in the presentation, is that there's a lot of things external to your platforms that you're using to really get this process complete. Another thing we talk to customers about are how many FTEs, or really what that translates into are touches along the way in order to complete this process. And finally, the last thing you can ask yourself is, what are your biggest challenges related to your current process? That's a big one that a lot of folks say, well, we have issues of rekeying of data, missing data, UPBs being incorrect, payments being incorrect. All of those things can actually be rectified with a unified process. Second thing to focus on is understanding your borrower experience, right? What does that experience look like? In some cases, folks don't have a digital portal. They're still using snail mail to actually mail out payment coupons using stamps and envelopes. Is your process digital or manual, right? What does that look like? Can you easily provide documents, updated balances, and make it easy for the borrower, which ultimately reduce your cost and makes you more efficient? And then finally, many folks have actually really focused on the application origination process. Is this process a lot more manual, a lot more onerous, and that you really, and should you focus on this? Lastly, after you do that internal evaluation, if you need some help, we'd love to help. We can provide a no-cost review of your current process with Linda and the rest of the servicing team. And we'd love to spend some more time with you, since this was the tip of the iceberg, to schedule a deep dive demo and provide any additional insights into how we can help you, again, reduce cost, improve efficiencies, and really make your borrower journey a lot more engaged. Okay. Any other questions that have come up since the last set?
No, I think you guys must have done a great job. No additional questions at this time. Thank you so much
Great.
for taking the time to share your technology with us and the seamless process. This session is recorded and it will be shared with all registered attendees. Thank you for everybody for joining the call today. If you have any questions, please feel free to forward it to us. We'll be happy to share it with Blue Sage to provide